Okay, so many years ago, this was before I even knew that I was more than flesh and bones. That was back when I really thought I was limited and had probably no connection to God. But as long as I can remember, I've always had dreams. I've always seen my grandmother. I didn't know she was my guide then, but I always had dreams and saw things come to pass and just thought it was weird, but I wouldn't talk about it because, you didn't want people to think you were going crazy. But anyway, years ago, my dad was having headaches for days and days and days. And my mom kept telling me, and he kept telling me, I'm having this headache. It's debilitating. But in our culture, we try to self-heal and self-diagnose. So he was taking ginger tea and all the other up about it that, a Caribbean person will take. And I remember one evening he told me it was really bad. He said it was so bad he was on the floor. And I said, you need to go to the hospital. Now, I live at the time, before the highways came, I was maybe about 40 minutes drive from where my parents live back in Jamaica. And I said, you know what, you need to go to the hospital. I'll meet you there. And he didn't want to go to the hospital. My parents don't like the hospital, and that's why I don't like the hospitals, maybe. But anyway, he didn't want it to go. And he said, oh, it's calmed down a little bit. I'm going to try to sleep it off. So I think I dozed off. And within that dream, I saw my dad on a gurney in the hospital. And I know it was him, but all I saw was his hand hanging under a sheet. So I saw his hand, I saw his watch, and I knew it was him. And the feeling that I had in that time was horrific, because within the dream, I realized I was dreaming. I said, oh my God, he's, passed on. And when that happened in the dream, as I was looking up, I saw my grandmother. That's my mother's mother. And I got out of the dream. And by the time I got out of the dream, I remember I said, he has to go to the hospital tonight. But by the time I was to call them, my mother called me and she said, you know what? He's on the floor here. He's not unresponsive, but he's in so much pain that he can't even cry. And I said, he has to go to the hospital. And now meet me in the hospital. So anyway, they left, went to the hospital. When we went to the hospital, I try not to discredit professionals for what they do, because that's their profession. But anyway, I went to the hospital and doctors looked him over. And I said, I think you need to check his pressure, because he's having this headache. It's debilitating. They asked him questions. Nobody checked his pressure. They gave him painkiller and said to me, take him home. I said, no, I can't take him home. He is debilitating. There's something wrong some way. He's been having a headache for over 3 days, and he can't function the way it's bad right now. And accidents and emergencies, I don't know if it happens every way, but this hospital that I went to in our town, it was crowded that night. There was a lot of emergencies coming in. And I think they assessed by sight that this is not an accident. So, okay, whatever. I went outside and they said, let him take the pill, go home. If it gets worse, take him back. And I thought to myself, it's a 40-minute drive. If something goes wrong, he's not going to make it there. And I remember the dream I had. And I had this gut-wrenching feeling like I'm not going anywhere. My mother was there. She's tired, obviously, because it's late at night, okay? And I said to her, we're not going back. We're going to sit out here. So I sat outside. They have benches outside the hospital. And my dad laid down and he had his head in my lap. And I was there sitting. My mom was on the other side praying, and I was there sitting. I'm thinking about this dream, and I remembered the hand. I saw the hand when the hand dropped, and I was like, nope, it's not going to happen to you. Nope, not happening. And after maybe about close to an hour, I felt his hand fell. His head is in my lap, and I noticed his hand fell. Similar to in my dream, but he's not on a gurney now. He's on a bench. His head is in my lap. And when his hand fell, I felt the weight of his body go down on my lap like this. His head, the weight is like, I don't know, it was like a whole person, not just a head on my lap. And I looked down and I shouted out and I called for the porter. I said, he's dying. And the porter ran down and he was panicking. I don't think you remember where the wheelchairs were, but anyway, eventually got a wheelchair, and his hand was down, and he wasn't responding. I never forget this night. And by the time he pushed it in the hospital, one of the doctors, there was a doctor there, I'll never forget his face, I won't call his name. He said, he's gone. I looked at my dad and I was like, nope, he's not dead. I don't care what they say. And there was this younger doctor that came over and he looked at him. They put him on the thing. And I noticed nobody was putting vitals on. I understand how he looks, but nobody was, it's an emergency. Start to put the vitals because I want to see the vitals if he has a heartbeat, right? And he felt him, whatever, and he's not moving fast enough. And I was like, you have nothing to lose. Can somebody try to save him? And I never forget, there's this Chinese doctor that came around and I said to him, I said, he came in here before. They told me to take him home. He's having a heart attack or something. Can somebody just try to save him? And he said, we have nothing to lose. And he said something to them. And when he said whatever he said to them, because I don't know the medical genre, they started to strap him with whatever these things are that shows on a monitor. And he went around somewhere. And when he came back with this big ass needle. I don't know. Excuse my language. Excuse my French. And he came with this needle. I don't know what it is. And he go in his leg. And when he did it in his leg, I thought to myself, oh my God, that's going to kill me. Because it just seemed too much. But when he did that, his body had some kind of movement. And they were putting the things on. And then you hear the thing, whatever sound it was making. And then they told us to move. And they pulled the curtain. And I was outside. I was like, you know what? By the time I went back outside to sit down, and my mother was out there praying, panic praying. And I looked down, and by the time I looked up, I could see my grandmother smile and walk away. And I had this feeling of relief. It's going to be okay. I don't know what anyone is going to take from these stories, but I have tens and tens and tens and dozens of stories like this where God has showed up in so many ways, in so many forms, not just using people, not just using the apparition of loved ones. God uses everything and anything that will spark your attention. So if you're having dreams and there is a celebrity that you love, the reason why the celebrity is placed in that scene is to nudge your memory and also gain your attention to observe this particular message that's happening then. This is how dreams work. Or they will use a family member that you so loved or somebody who just passed. So I understand that there are certain texts that says the living has nothing to do with the passed on, but for me, I don't have dead. I just know that they changed form, and when they change form, it amplifies my spiritual support. That's how I look at it. If you think differently, it's fine, but over the years, understand this is why I see it this way, because I've always seen and experienced being protected, being guided by something in the background, this godness, this angelic support that's always directing me, redirecting me, giving me stop signs, having me feel things within my body to say, listen, this is not for you. You have that gut-wrenching feeling when you're around somebody or somebody says something to you and the hairs stand up on you. It's your spiritual team telling you, yo, they're lying. Don't you feel that? Hey, observe. Don't listen to the words that are coming out of their mouth. Feel it. Don't you feel that that's not holy and true that's coming out of their mouth? You are supported, not just by the people that you physically see around you. And if you're in your house alone and you feel introverted, you're introverted because the spirit team is working. It's trying to perfect something out of you. They're preparing you for a mastery. I don't know what it is, but trust and allow. Build on your faith, because you have to understand that remembering is good. Tapping into your prayer life, tapping into your faithful life, tapping into self-healing is very important so you can let go of this weight, this baggage that comes back to you all the time with this low frequency that makes you feel sad and, oh my God, I don't deserve. And that has nothing to do with God. That's the trick of the devil himself. That tells you you don't deserve, you're not going to get, you're never going to be, you don't deserve love, nobody loves you, you don't even love yourself. That has nothing to do with God. That has nothing to do with love, because the love from God is so unconditional. The flowers around you telling you they love you. The rocks that you pass telling you they love you. It's so unconditional. So anyway, that's one of many stories that I got support from the other side that saved somebody. See you in the next one.